So, are we going to get any major surprises in Best Supporting Actor on Oscar nominations morning? Hi, it's Brian. This is the awards contender, and it's time for my early Oscar predictions for Best Supporting Actor. Here we go. So, I'm going to say right off the top here, I do think Best Supporting Actor is the easiest acting category to call at this moment. Like, Best Supporting Actress is all over the place. We don't really know how that's going to shake out. Anyone who can successfully predict all 5 contenders for Best Supporting Actress in October, like, I'm going to be very impressed. Like, we don't really know what's going to happen there. But like Best Actress, there's a good 8, 9 big contenders fighting it out for the 5 slots. And so we're going to have to see what happens at the Golden Globes, a Critics' Choice, and things. But Best Supporting Actor, like outside of a shocker, I do think 4 of the 5 slots are almost 100% locks. Guaranteed. Like, I don't even know how any of these 4 could miss right now. It would be so surprising. Like, it will make all of our jaws drop on Oscar nominations morning if these 4 men don't make it in. Starting with Robert Downey Jr. for Oppenheimer. As soon as I watched Oppenheimer on opening day, I went, oh shit, Robert Downey Jr. is coming for his Oscar. He is an actor who is very well respected in the industry, and he of course had a juggernaut in Iron Man and in the Marvel series of movies for many years. I thought he was worthy of an Oscar nomination for Avengers Endgame, but unless your name is Angela Bassett, it's hard to be recognized for a Marvel movie. And so I feel like the industry has been waiting for that moment to give Robert Downey Jr. his Academy Award. He's been nominated twice before, for Chaplin in the 90s and Tropic Thunder in the 2000s. I feel like he is absolutely one of the standout performances in Oppenheimer. He has that great scene toward the end where he just goes off in that back room. And even before that, throughout the movie, like, it's very mature and grounded. He is excellent in this movie. He is 100% getting in. As of this moment, I do think Robert Downey Jr. is the frontrunner to win Best Supporting Actor. I mean, there are a couple other big contenders here I think are going to give him a fight, to be sure, but I just feel like because he's never won before, Oppenheimer is one of the most beloved films of 2023. I think it could potentially win, like, picture, director, actor, adapted screenplay. It's definitely going to make a run for some big wins at the 96th Academy Awards. I'm feeling pretty good about Robert Downey Jr.'s chances. Like, he's never won before. It's a great character. He's got that one big moment toward the end that I'm sure will be a part of his clip reel during award season. So yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about his chances. He is definitely getting in for sure. Next is Ryan Gosling for Barbie. Even though comedic performances don't always get recognized, I don't think we can ignore Ryan Gosling and Barbie. Like, sitting down to make this video, I thought, okay, who in the top 4 could maybe miss on Oscar nominations morning and throw us all for a loop? I mean, you could argue that because Barbie is a comedic film, Gosling gives a comedic performance. Like, it's not the typical kind of performance the Academy recognizes. You could make the argument that he misses and they put in his slot like a more dramatic performance in a more serious movie, but I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think this performance is going to be ignored at all during award season, and I actually think he might win some things. Like, even though comedic performances almost never win Oscars, I do think at this moment, Ryan Gosling is the biggest threat to Robert Downey Jr. because Barbie was such a huge hit, got great reviews. I think Barbie is going to do very well on Oscar nominations morning. And in some ways, even more than original screenplay, I feel like Barbie's best chance at a win in the top 8 categories is Ryan Gosling. Like Robert Downey Jr., Gosling has been nominated twice before for Half Nelson and La La Land. He has also never won, so there will be that narrative. I mean, right now I'm like, would they really give the Oscar to Ryan Gosling and Barbie over Robert Downey Jr. for Oppenheimer? Like, when I really think about it, I'm like, no, I don't think that's going to happen. But is Ryan Gosling getting in? 100%. There would be such an outcry if he missed. Like, if they snub Ryan Gosling, watch out. People are gonna go batshit crazy. Like, he's getting in. Ryan Gosling is pretty safe, I would say, for Best Supporting Actor at the Oscars. The next person who is a 100% lock, it's one of my favorite performances of the year, Mark Ruffalo in Poor Things. I think Poor Things is going to do extremely well on Oscar nominations morning. It's going to get at least 11, if not more. Like, it's going to do very, very, very well in the top 8 categories, in the tech categories, and Best Supporting Actor, as we're going to talk about here, might have 2 nominees from that movie. I mean, I do think the 100% lock to get into Supporting Actor from Poor Things is Mark Ruffalo, who, like Robert Downey Jr. and Ryan Gosling, has been nominated a few times before at the Oscars and has never won. Ruffalo has actually had 3 nominations thus far, all in Supporting Actor. He was nominated for The Kids Are All Right, Foxcatcher, and Spotlight. He has not won yet. And I would say Ruffalo definitely is in the mix for a win as well for Poor Things. I think it will depend on how much enthusiasm the Academy has for that movie. Like, it's one thing to get into a lot of categories, it's another thing to win. Like, I don't know if Poor Things is going to win Best Picture, Best Actress for Emma Stone, Best Supporting Actor for Mark Ruffalo, but there's a shot it could be like this year's Everything Everywhere All at Once and get a lot of big wins on Oscar night. I think if the movie does really well and starts winning a bunch of things, look out for Mark Ruffalo. He could take Supporting Actor. I mean, he is so hilarious in Poor Things. It's such an original creation, that guy. I love everything Mark Ruffalo is doing in that movie, and he's been nominated 3 times before. Like, I don't know. It could happen for Mark Ruffalo. No matter what happens in terms of a win, though, at the end of the day, Mark Ruffalo is definitely getting nominated for Poor Things and Best Supporting Actor. And then the 4th lock, I would say, is a movie just now opening in theaters, and that's Robert De Niro's performance in Killers of the Flower Moon. I think the 3 biggest Oscar contenders as a whole are going to be Oppenheimer, Poor Things, and Killers of the Flower Moon. I think it's almost a certainty at this point Killers of the Flower Moon gets into Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor for Leonardo DiCaprio, Best Actress for Lily Gladstone, Best Supporting Actor for Robert De Niro, and Best Adapted Screenplay. Like, I think those are almost 100% locks at this point. I mean, I guess there are 2 arguments you could make against Robert De Niro getting in for Killers of the Flower Moon. One is the Academy has not really taken to his work for the last few decades. Like, his only nomination since 1991's Cape Fear was Silver Linings Playbook. Like, he didn't even get into Best Actor for The Irishman, Scorsese's last film. So it's not like the Academy in recent decades are just throwing trophies and nominations at Robert De Niro. Like, he doesn't get nominated for much anymore, even though he was nominated for a ton of things in the 70s, 80s, early 90s. And then the other argument you could make against him, I guess, is that Killers of the Flower Moon has an astonishing ensemble cast, and Jesse Plemons is getting some early Oscar buzz for his performance in the film. That would also be Supporting Actor. So it could be one of those cases where on Oscar nominations morning, Killers of the Flower Moon gets into Supporting Actor, but it's not De Niro, it's Plemons. I don't think that's going to happen. I think De Niro is pretty safe. Like, he's kind of an icon at this point and giving a terrific performance in a Martin Scorsese movie. I think he's going to get swept up in all the love for Killers of the Flower Moon. I do think he makes it into Supporting Actor pretty safely. And so, yeah, those are 4 near locks, I would say, at this point. Those are likely 4 of the 5 nominations for Best Supporting Actor at the 96th Academy Awards. The question now is, who gets the 5th place slot? Who's going to make it in? There are a couple more obvious choices than others, as we have seen in recent years. Usually, in almost every acting category, we do get some kind of a surprise on Oscar nominations morning. Like, how many people in October of 2022 were predicting Judd Hirsch for The Fabelmans? How many people were predicting Brian Tyree Henry for Causeway? Like, what is going to be this year's Brian Tyree Henry? Can there be someone who kind of comes from behind, doesn't make it into many precursor ceremonies, but then gets the Oscar nomination, even for a movie that doesn't show up in any other category? Like, could that happen this year? Let's look at some other contenders. I have not seen May December yet, but I keep hearing amazing things about Charles Melton in this movie. Like, when you think of May December, many of us go straight to Natalie Portman, Julianne Moore, Todd Haynes. But I don't know, like, this could be a Jackie Brown situation where Pam Grier and Sam Jackson are getting a lot of the early nominations, but then on Oscar nominations morning, they're left out and Robert Forster gets into supporting actor. Like, this might be a case where, oh, we think like Julianne Moore might get in, Natalie Portman might get in, but maybe they both miss. And the one person from May December who gets an Oscar nomination is Charles Melton. One contender I think has a very good shot of getting into Best Supporting Actor is Dominic Sessa for The Holdovers. This is the first film he's ever appeared in, and he is fantastic. So real, so funny, and emotional. Like, I loved his performance in this movie. It's so natural, and I feel like this could be a Lucas Hedges, Manchester by the Sea situation, where if The Holdovers gets enough love on Oscar nominations morning, like, I think it's pretty safely getting into supporting actress, actor, and picture, maybe director. Like, it could also show up for Dominic Sessa in Best Supporting Actor. I could totally see that happening. I mean, I can't remember how many precursors Lucas Hedges got into. I don't think he got into all of them, but then he showed up at the Oscars. The same thing could happen with Dominic Sessa. I mean, he has no history in film, so I feel like that might be a stain against him because he's never been in a movie before. Like, it might be one of those situations where they're like, well, let's give this guy a few more years. Let's see what he does. But I would love to see that nomination happen. He is fantastic in this movie. Just get ready for Dominic Sessa in The Holdovers. John Magaro for Past Lives, sadly, I don't think is going to happen. I think he'll get into like Best Supporting Actor at the Film Independent Spirit Awards. Like, I think he might show up in a couple places, maybe, but I don't think he's going to make it into Supporting Actor at the Oscars, although I adore his performance. He is wonderful in Past Lives. Sterling K. Brown I have seen show up in some prediction lists for American Fiction. I don't know anything about his performance in that movie. I have not seen that film yet, but he is an amazing actor. He's won at least an Emmy or two for This Is Us, and American Fiction might be one of those movies that's kind of under the radar right now, but might do better than we expect on Oscar nominations morning, so keep an eye on Sterling K. Brown in American Fiction. What about Jacob Elordi for Priscilla? He's playing Elvis Presley in the new Sofia Coppola movie. Like, I would not take that off the table, especially since he's also terrific in Saltburn, one of my favorite films of 2023. Jacob Elordi is having a moment right now. He's in 2 acclaimed films coming out at the end of the year. Like, I'm not going to predict him right now, but since he's playing a real-life person in Priscilla, the fact that we just had Austin Butler nominated for playing Elvis at the last ceremony, like, if Priscilla does better than expected on Oscar nominations morning, Jacob Elordi and Best Supporting Actor could happen, especially since, as I said, he's also really good in Saltburn. I would say a big question mark right now is The Iron Claw, which is coming out from A24 at the end of December, and I'm feeling like that movie could be a contender, and the person I have my eye on is Jeremy Allen White, who has been so great on The Bear, and for him to show up in an ensemble drama coming out in theaters at the end of December, like, he is definitely one to keep an eye on right now. If The Iron Claw does well with critics and gets some early Oscar buzz, Jeremy Allen White, I would say, definitely has a shot of being kind of a late stage contender for Best Supporting Actor. There's Coleman Domingo in The Color Purple. Wouldn't that be something if on Oscar nominations morning, Coleman Domingo got 2 Oscar nominations, one for Rustin and one for The Color Purple? I don't think that's going to happen. Like, I think The Color Purple is going to do okay at the Oscars. It's not going to be like this huge contender getting 12, 13 nominations or something. I do think Danielle Brooks is pretty safe to get into Best Supporting Actress, but I don't think anyone from that movie is going to show up in Supporting Actor. Jesse Plemons, as I talked about before, from Killers of the Flower Moon, like, I am days away from seeing this movie. I will have a full review very shortly, but I'm hearing really good things about his performance. We saw at the last ceremony 2 people get into Best Supporting Actor from the Banshees of Inisherin. Like, the Academy will nominate 2 people from the same movie all the time in one category. So even if Robert De Niro gets in for that film, Jesse Plemons could take the 5th place slot. He was kind of a surprise on Oscar nominations morning when he got into Best Supporting Actor for The Power of the Dog. Like, everybody was expecting Cody Smith-McPhee to get in, but then Jesse Plemons got in too, so the Academy likes him, and if he's giving another terrific performance in Killers of the Flower Moon, like, he's definitely circling the category right now. He's probably in 6th or 7th place. He could maybe get in. One nomination I would love to see is Chris Messina for Air. I thought he was spectacular in that film. It might have been my favorite performance in the movie. I have always loved Chris Messina. He doesn't get much love at award shows for basically anything, and I just think he is so consistently good in film, in television, year after year, and he hasn't had his moment yet, like in the awards spotlight. Like, that would be an amazing surprise on Oscar nominations morning. Air does a little bit better than we're expecting, and Chris Messina gets nominated for that film. I think that one scene on the phone with Matt Damon is such a standout scene in this year in film. Chris Messina in Air, I want to keep his name in the conversation. And Paul Mescal for All of Us Strangers, I saw his name pop up on a couple Oscar prediction websites. I don't think that's going to happen. I think if one person from that movie gets into the Oscars, it would be Andrew Scott for Best Actor. Paul Mescal is certainly very good in All of Us Strangers. I really liked his performance, and he's very sexy, let me tell you. But even though he was just nominated for After Sun, they definitely like him as an actor. I don't think for this film he can make it in. I would say of all these contenders I just talked about the last few minutes, the ones that are closest to taking that 5th place slot are Charles Melton for May December, Dominic Sessa for The Holdovers, and Jesse Plemons for Killers of the Flower Moon. I could see any one of those 3 names showing up in Best Supporting Actor, but right now there is one more name to talk about, and I'm feeling pretty good that he makes it in. Willem Dafoe in Poor Things. Again, I think Poor Things is going to do very well on Oscar nominations morning, getting 11 or more nods, and in Best Supporting Actor, we already have Mark Ruffalo, who is great in the movie, but also giving a weird, delicious performance is Willem Dafoe. He has an incredible physical transformation. He doesn't look like himself, but it's also more of an emotional turn than you might expect. He has some wonderful scenes in the movie, especially with Emma Stone, and he kind of disappears in the second act. In some way, I feel like Dafoe's biggest problem to getting that Oscar nomination is that there's a big chunk of the movie that he's not in the middle. So that makes me a little nervous. But here's the deal. The Academy loves Willem Dafoe. They will nominate him for movies that don't show up in any other category. So if Poor Things does extremely well on Oscar nominations morning, I just can't imagine them ignoring this performance. It's very striking and memorable. Part of me's like, if they nominated Willem Dafoe for At Eternity's Gate, a movie I feel like didn't get seen by very many people, and he still made it in for that film, like, he's going to get in to supporting actor for Poor Things. Everybody is going to see this movie in the weeks to come, and he is doing some phenomenal career best work in that film. Like, even though Mark Ruffalo also gives an astonishing performance in the film, and it's kind of hard to choose between the two, as I said before, we get 2 nominees from the same movie in a single acting category at the Oscars all the time. I do think this year we're going to get 2 nominees in Best Supporting Actor from Poor Things. So here are my early predictions in Best Supporting Actor at the 96th Academy Awards. Robert Downey Jr., Oppenheimer, Ryan Gosling, Barbie, Mark Ruffalo, Poor Things, Robert De Niro, Killers of the Flower Moon, and Willem Dafoe, Poor Things. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. And let me know in the comments below who you think is going to be nominated at next year's Oscars for Best Supporting Actor. And stay tuned in the coming days for my early Oscar predictions for Best Supporting Actress. We'll see you next time at the Awards Contender.